don't know about you, but I've lent people things a lot. And I think it was my dad that taught me this lesson. I'm not sure. But he said, always lend without the expectation of repayment. And so if you can afford to give it to them, then it's okay to lend it to them. But you know, God will. I hope you noted that verse, and I tell you, you just can't go wrong. Brother, you come and share what the Lord's laid on your heart tonight, and we're just kind of a family here this evening, kind of keeping it simple. They're not used to being here in the auditorium Sunday evening, so it's a little bit of a switch.
It's all right.
We're usually in a multi-purpose room.
All right. All right, thank you, Brother Todd. I appreciate it. And I enjoyed this morning's service. I really enjoyed your song service. It was a great time of worship there. And very thankful for y'all letting me come here. Very thankful for that. It means the world to me. And I really enjoyed going to other churches. And I've always been in our church for 20, how many years have we been there? 26 years. So I have not been to a lot of churches, and I enjoy getting out, seeing new churches, seeing what's going on. And you know what's wonderful is being able to see that brothers and sisters in Christ are all over the world. And that is just a phenomenal thing to me, and I love that. So, but here's what I wanted to do before we get into where we're going to go was, and this kind of puts me on the spot because most of the times whenever you say, does anybody have a question? It's kind of like, so does anybody have a question about what our family does, about what our ministry is, and does anybody have any questions about just the ministry in general? If you got a question, just blurt it out there or whatever. See, I'm on the spot right now, trying to fill that air right now, trying to make sure. Yes, ma'am. I love that. Yes.
Are your ministries in the different areas, are they run by locals, and then your ministry just supports them financially?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, we in Haiti there, it's ran, actually the man is from the Philippines. He's been there for 25 years now. So he runs the orphanage, and we basically fund the orphanage down there in Haiti, and then also the feeding house is also ran by him and his ministry in Haiti. And I was going to show a video tonight, but it was on YouTube, and I was trying to get it downloaded. It wasn't working, but it was just what we've done in Africa, and we've actually built a church building in Africa there. It seats about 300 people there in Malawi, Africa, and we took water filters over there, gave them out. The water that we filtered was just nasty as could be, and we basically got it out of one of the ditches there, and then it shows a video of me drinking the water, and they were like, no, don't do it, but we did it. And but yes, all of our ministries are ran by nationals, and we come behind them and try to make sure that they're able to continue to go forward. So yeah, that is how we do it there. Anybody else? Yes, sir.
Several people ask today, what's your full-time job?
My full-time job is I work at our church there, and I don't want to say trying to wean myself out of that, but because if that gets back to this is okay. No, sorry, Pastor, not true. No, but really, I am a full-time pastor, a full-time youth pastor. I'm our missions pastor. I take care of all of our missions finances there at the church, and I do our music ministry, take care of all the music for Sunday mornings, Sunday nights, Thursday nights, different things there. I'm part of the financial team. That's, just assistant pastor, do anything that he needs done now. I just got tagged into teaching 2 college classes in our Bible college, and so whatever comes up, I get to do it if nobody else wants to fill it, okay? One of the titles that I got whenever I first came on staff was Ministry of Helps. And that basically meant if anybody needs you, Marvin, you do it. And so that's changed a little bit, but it's still very applicable. So, but that's what I do full time right now. So, anybody else?
You also run a shelter.
Yes, we have. What's that?
You also run a shelter part time at your house.
Yes, I do. Yes, we have decided that for right now in this time of our life, we are not bringing anybody else into our home. I'll just tell you, we had a man living with us. He was 47 years old, drug addict coming off the streets there. And then he's getting cleaned up, and he goes, man, I got a friend over in, was it Pennsylvania? Philadelphia. And he goes, I got a friend who needs some help. Do you think we could bring him in the house? And we're like, we don't know him. Okay, come on over. So now we got 2 guys living on our basement there. And so we're like, this is going okay. Then they moved out. We told my daughter, because her room was in the basement, we said, nobody else is taking your room. And so then, I don't know, maybe 2 months later, 3 months later, something like that, there was a husband and wife. They were going through some marital issues, and he was going to have to, actually he was leaving, going back to his home state there. And we were like, no, if they split up, if they get that far away, there's no way possible. So we sat down with our daughter and we said, all right, Desi, is there, this is what's going on. And she goes, he can have my room. And I was like, okay, wonderful. I wasn't going to ask you for it, but just, so so that is kind of what we do. And I don't know, we just enjoy doing this stuff. But we're done right now. We are done right now. So, yes, right for this moment. Yep. But anybody else? Any questions? Any questions? I will tell you this: we take missions trips, and we just got 2 new people joining us this year, and I'm pretty excited about that. But your pastor and his wife there. But so we're going to take, and we do a missions trip. So we actually do about 3 or so a year, different places, and we go to Haiti twice a year. This one here is actually our Christmas project. I was talking to somebody this morning, little Spanish lady, elderly lady, one of the widows that we were talking to. No, okay. And so we were talking with her this morning, and she was telling us that you guys do Operation Christmas, and you collect all year round for that. And we did that for a couple of years at our church there. And then whenever we started the orphanage, we started taking our own and collecting our own stuff. And so that's actually what we'll be kind of doing in January, is we'll take all of the Christmas stuff down there to the children in January and be able to distribute it to the children at the orphanage. And it's just a wonderful, wonderful time there for that. And then in August, we go back down there, and you saw the video of the youth conference. And for the last 2 years, we've planned on going, bought the tickets for it and everything. And then the United States government said you're not allowed to come into Haiti because of the riots that are taking place. We've actually had to cancel the last 2 years of the youth conference there. So hoping that it doesn't happen this year. I actually said no matter what, I'll go by myself this next year. If nobody else can go, I'm going for sure. But so that is, we do those mission trips. Yes, sir.
Can it might have been asked, can a supporting church, individual, family member go on any of these trips?
Yes.
Or you go down there?
Anybody can go on any of our trips anytime. So basically what we do is when we go to Haiti, and it varies from place to place. When we go to Haiti, it's the cost of the plane ticket plus $400, and that covers your entire trip there. So it takes care of your food, transportation, lodging, everything for those trips. And so it's we try to keep the cost down, because we know this, that if we can get people down there, it'll get in their heart. And if we can get it in their heart, then they're going to come and they're going to fund it. And that's really what our heart's desire is, to be able to keep all of these things going on. And that's really our hope and desire. So the building, you saw a picture of the building. It was kind of falling. It looked like a really, really rough building. We bought that building. I think it was $60,000 down there. We bought the building. It was an American man that owned the property, and he moved up to Florida. And so he sold us the building, but it's dirt floors whenever we bought it. The outside, it didn't have, it was just nothing to it. So we went through, we were able to reconcrete the whole entire inside of it, installed some bathrooms, some showers there, and installed a kitchen for them, and really just got it all up and running. And then I think this last trip, we were able to pour concrete. They prefer to have concrete on the whole yard, because then they have a big playing area and the kids can go out there and play. So that we've taken and we concreted that whole area outside there so they can play outside. And the next step is, once we're fully funded down there in Haiti, will be to build a second story on the orphanage down there so that we can bring in more children. If you read the prayer card back there, it says that there's approximately 400,000 orphans in Haiti, okay? And so there's plenty for us to do down there. And that's where right now with our orphanage, that's where the main work is happening. And so that's, there's a big task in front of us. And we're looking forward to seeing whatever God allows us to do. Yes, sir.
How many could you ideally have? Now, I know, with space limitations, but with the property that you have, the space that you have, what is your max? Like, if you were
Probably
to build
20.
2, 3, no, I'm saying, if you were to do like two floors, 3 floors, however.
Oh, okay. As far as,
what's the max number of kids that you'd be able to have on that property before you would think about? Well,
I think we could
something else?
probably double what we have right now, maybe 1.5. I think we'd probably, right now we're at 42. I think we could probably get up to 60 or 70 kids in there. The hardest part is going to be the space outside. That's going to be the biggest struggle there. So for them to have an area to play, and so there is another yard that we could buy next to it and be able to expand and do that. But I think about 60, 70 kids is where our max would be at. So, yes, ma'am.
Who are the ones that stay with these children? You go do all this, then what?
And then we leave, and yes, so there are,
Bring some home, but I just need to know.
yes, you can, so me too. I figured out how much cheaper it is for my kids to live there than it is to live with me, and I thought about it. But no, there's, we have some full-time nannies that live there. And they stay with the kids. They cook for the kids. They make sure that they're getting to school. They make sure that they're the older children, they have to go to public school because the education doesn't go as high. And then we have to have a deaf school because we have some children that are deaf. And then we have regular schooling for the younger children that are just coming up there. So yeah, so that's what we do there. So.
The deaf children, do they learn American Sign Language?
It's pretty universal. Is kind of what we've kind of learned through all this. It's pretty universal, and if you can do sign language here, you can almost do it just about anywhere. Do you know sign language? Yeah. Look at that! That is awesome. You know, that is a God thing, and so it's a wonderful thing. There's one man down there. He is he's deaf and mute, but he knows English, and so him and my daughter, they sat, and for 2 hours. 2 hours they wrote notes back and forth to each other, and just had a wonderful time conversing together. It was so sweet seeing that. My favorite thing is watching my children be able to capture this in their heart. And I'll tell you, I had a totally different video that I really wanted to show you guys, but my hard drive crashed and I literally lost all of my pictures from 2017-ish to 2019 and all my videos and everything. So I'm working on trying to figure out how to get a lot of that stuff back. And that showed more of the recent things, and had some pictures of my family in there, down there and stuff. It was a lot of fun. But so that's what we do. It's a lot of fun. The water filters is, I love doing it. I love taking those to the people and seeing the joy that it puts on their face, knowing that, just the diseases that are so big in the water in different places, and being able to give them some life. And kind of what our thinking on it is, if we can sustain their life just a little bit longer because we're giving them good, clean water, we have a better opportunity of giving them the living water. And I want to be able to give them the living water there, give them Christ, and so that's the goal. Yes, sir?
How long does one of the water filters last?
They last 10 years, and they'll filter about 150 gallons of water per day. And so I don't remember the exact amount of numbers, but it's a lot of gallons that it will, as long as they clean it properly and do their part with it properly, it will last about 10 years. And they cost us $50, and that's for them to ship them to us and us to get them there. And so that's the cost on that. But so it's a fun ministry. It's a lot of fun. I really enjoy it. So anybody else? Any other questions? All right, we're going to go to Mark chapter number 2. Mark chapter number 2. And I like this story a lot. It's about the guys who they brought Jesus, or they brought the man in the bed to Jesus there. And Mark chapter number 2, we'll read it together here, or I'll read it and you can follow along there. Mark chapter number 2, verse number 1, it says, "And again he," and this is talking about Jesus there, "he entered into Capernaum after some days, and it was noised that he was in the house, and straightway many were gathered together, insomuch that there was no room to receive them, no, not so much as about the door. And he preached the word unto them." And so then the rest of the story goes on. It takes and it says that these four guys, they had a friend. He was sick of the palsy, and so they went. They got their friend, and all four of the guys, they grabbed onto the bed there, and they grab onto his bed and they bring him to Jesus there, and they're on their way to bringing this man to Jesus. And could you imagine this? Just the whole thing going on here. Just try to picture this maybe a little bit. You've got a man. He's laying in the bed. You've got four guys. They're grabbing onto the corners of the bed there, and they're carrying this guy through the streets, and they get to the doorway where Jesus is. And they're looking at the door and there's like, no way that we can get in. There's no way that we can get our friend to Jesus. And then we know how the story goes, right? They take and they're like, okay, well, our friend needs to get to Jesus. He's the only chance that they have or he has of being able to be healed of his disease there, the palsy there, sick of the palsy. And he takes and they're like, okay, we're going to do whatever we have to do. So the crowd's there, they're jam-packed in the house, and these guys are like, all right, what are we going to do? They're looking around, they're trying to figure out what is it that we can do to get our friend to Jesus. And I kind of started thinking about what are the characteristics of a person that would do anything in the world to get their friend to Jesus. What are the characteristics of that kind of a person? The person that goes, you know what, no matter what it's going to take, I'm going to get my friend to Jesus. And that's what these guys did. They climb up on the roof there. And, could you imagine you're in the middle of the church here. All right? You're having a good old time of worship, and then all of a sudden the ceiling tiles start breaking down, and then a bed comes lowering down through the roof. You're like, oh, okay, what's going on here? You know? It'd be a little weird. It'd be kind of disturbing. And that's what's going on here. And these guys, they take and they lower this man down. And so just what are some things here? Okay, I got 4 things of the characteristics of these kind of guys. Okay, what are the characteristics? The first one is this right here. These guys that had a huge concern for others. Simple, right? Really, really simple. They had a huge concern for others. And I like to think that these were, one of the characteristics was that they were unselfish. They were unselfish. I like to think that these men cared about the well-being of other people. These guys, they were not consumed with themselves. They were consumed with getting their friend to Jesus. It was their passion. It was their desire. It was what they knew they had to do. And they were willing to do whatever it took to get their friend to Jesus. To bring a sick man to Jesus meant this right here, meant denying themselves of many blessings. What was one of the blessings that they missed out on was being able to hear Jesus. Be able to hear the words of Jesus. Be able to be, they could have been right at the feet of Jesus, but instead they said, we're going to deny ourselves of that blessing, and we're going to go get our friend who really, really needs Jesus. They were unselfish. They said, you know what, no matter what it is. And my mind goes to the verse of Scripture in Matthew 16:24 that says this right here. If any man will come after me, let him deny himself and take up his cross and follow me. Let him deny himself. Listen, the only way that we are going to take and bring people to Jesus if we take and become unselfish and choose to deny ourselves. Deny ourselves of our comforts at times, of our own personal desires, of our own personal pleasures, of the things that we think, man, this is what really matters. It meant not being able to hear everything that the Lord was going to say so that their friend could come to Jesus. And I think about the beauty of genuine concern is this right here. It's its willingness to become involved without being influenced by the price tag. That's the beauty of genuine concern. When you truly are concerned about the well-being of other people. I'll go back to that guy that lived with us, and he's actually in the Chicago area now, working, kind of flipping houses in the area there. But I think about that guy there. Whenever he came into our home, the cost of living went up. Water bill, he liked long showers, went up. Food went up. But in the process, it was actually my wife's idea to let him come in and live with us, but he was actually going to go live with his ex-wife and her new husband. That was his only living quarters that he could figure out there for the time being. And we said, that's not going to work, so we're gonna get him in our home here. And so anyways, the price tag doesn't matter when you're really concerned for others. You know, when you really care about your neighbor, it doesn't matter what it's going to cost you to get your neighbor to Jesus. for us and hopefully for you to get on board with us, okay, is this right here. Whenever we truly decided that we were going to care for these children there in Haiti and in Africa and these different places that God has allowed us to go to. We've been to Peru there one time and been to Mexico, and we're really working, really want to get down in Mexico. There's a Indian reservation down there where there's so much sex trafficking going on, and the only out that these little girls have is for them to learn English. If they can learn English, then they can take and get out of their village there. So we want to take and establish a school down there that teaches these kids just the basics, English, math, and be able to teach them the Bible there so that they can take and get out of there. That's something we really want to work towards. And we've got a pastor that we're going to work with, and we've known him for a few years, just really working on the funding of all of that, and the one person that's going to go down and start that. And we've looked for some different ladies, different families to go. But it doesn't matter what the cost is when you truly have a concern for other people. When you truly desire to help people. I think about Jesus, whenever he came to this earth, he forsook all so that we could have all. He forsook everything. He forsook his heavenly pleasures so that we could take and someday have the heavenly pleasures. And what a phenomenal price he paid, gave his own life for us. And here's the thing about my friend who lived with us for 18 months, okay? It never ends helping him. He's not perfect, but we love him where he is. He called us the other night, struggling. And we told him, listen, man, we're here for you. The journey never ends when you start helping people. It's just continually going on. And you, oftentimes we look at the price tag of things and we think, is that really worth helping that one? We look at the price tag, but the price tag, it doesn't matter for the person who truly cares and is concerned for other people, okay? So the first thing is this, right? I believe that they were very unselfish. Those 4 guys, they cared more about others than they cared about themselves. Here's the second one, is this right here, and I love this. They had a spirit of cooperation. They had a spirit of cooperation. These guys could not, or this guy in the bed could not have gotten to Jesus if one person would have said, you know what? I'm done. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to go with you guys up on the roof. Now, maybe 3 guys could have done it, but if you got 4 guys carrying it, one guy drops his corner, the guy on the bed's rolling off. And they had a spirit of cooperation. The word cooperation means this right here. The agreement of opinions or interests. It means accord, conformity, or harmony. Each man realized the importance of each other. Your pastor and you all realize the importance of each other right here in your church. Each one of you make up this body of believers. Without one, the church will struggle. Pastor was telling me whenever you guys were having to break down and set up the facilities here every week. And here's what he said. He goes, the one thing that I miss about that was the camaraderie of everybody coming together and working together to set up that. And hey, listen, without everybody, there's always a missing part. And I'm going to go to my ministry. Without churches and individuals and people getting on board with Divine Grace Cares and saying, we're gonna pray for you, we're gonna support you, we're gonna go with you, we're gonna love those kids, and we're gonna get involved in that area of ministry with you. Can I tell you, I can't do it. It takes everybody. Think about there in Exodus whenever Moses was going to war there, and the people of Israel going to war there, and Moses had to hold up the rod there, and Aaron and they had to hold up his arms, right? Because he got tired, because he got weary. And can I tell you something? Okay? It takes everybody. Had those guys said, you know what? I'm not going to hold up that side, they would have lost the entire battle. But because both guys came on and said, you know what? Let's cooperate in this. Let's work with Moses. Let's come in together. Let's be in accordance here. And let's make this thing happen. They were able to win the battle there. But coming together is the beginning. Here, I'm going to say this, all right? I've had a lot of people jump on board at the beginning. Come on board, man, and I like that. Okay? But staying together produces the victory. Okay? I've got a lot of people that day one, whenever I came back from Haiti the very first time, they took and said, you know what? We're going to support you, Marvin. We're behind you. We're backing you all the way, and we're not going to leave you. And can I tell you something? Those are the ones that are producing the victory. I was just talking to this morning to Miss Wanda. Is that right? Miss Wanda. And been here since the beginning. 53 years. Is that right? Wow. It's the ladies and individuals like that produce the victories. Coming together is a great thing, but when we stay together and work together, we cooperate, we're able to take and see the desired goal achieved. We're able to take and see what it is that we're really working towards. So it's very profitable for us to come together and work together. If it's in your neighborhood, you work together right here as a church, reaching your community that God's placed you in. You're the light of this city. You're the city. You're set on a hill, and God wants to use this church right here. And when you come together and you work in unity, God is able to take and do just the phenomenal things there. And here's the third one. The third one is this right here. These guys, they had a firm belief, and this is so important that we get this because it will help us with the other two. Okay? These guys had a firm belief that Jesus Christ is the only answer. These guys had a firm belief that Jesus Christ is the only answer. They believed there was nothing that was going to get them to waver from that. And when we come to the point that we truly believe that Jesus Christ is the only answer for your neighbors, for those children in Haiti and those people in Africa and those people, I'll be honest with you, every now and then a little bit of fear comes up when I think about going to Djibouti, Africa. A little bit of fear. My wife just keeps checking on the insurance policy, making sure that it's up to date, and that's really all she knows. But I'll be honest with you, but I look at the price tag. I look at what happens if I don't go. What happens if I was the only person that could bring those people to Jesus and I don't do it? They miss out on the answer. They miss out on Jesus, which means forever in hell. And I have to look at that. I have to realize that Jesus is the only answer for those people. Those people coming over there, actually, it's like a little canal. I was going to try to get a picture of it up there, but there's a little canal in the Red Sea right there, and there's a 25-mile little opening there. They're coming over from Yemen and into Djibouti there, and they're setting up this refugee camp, and Jesus is the only answer. They're leaving their country because there's war in their religion. They're coming out looking for hope. And we're going to go in and say, Jesus is your hope. Jesus is your hope. And we're going to give them once we get there, we're going to buy them food. We're going to buy them, have the water filters for them. We're going to take and go in and love them because Jesus did that very thing with the feeding of the 5,000, right? He went and loved on them. He cared for them. And so these guys, they understood that Jesus was or is the only answer for their friend. They knew historically that Jesus could heal. They knew that Jesus could do the miracles. They knew that Jesus, and listen, we know because we've experienced the freedom of Jesus Christ when we got saved. We know that Jesus is the answer. We know that He is the hope of our nation. We know that He is the hope for this world. Because why? Because we've experienced that. These guys, I don't know, maybe one of these four guys had a friend who was one of the 10 lepers. I don't know, just kind of playing this out a little bit here, okay? Maybe one of those four guys knew one of the 10 lepers and was like, hey man, I had a leper friend one time. He met up with this guy, Jesus. I heard that Jesus was going to be in this one house. If Jesus was the answer for him, I bet Jesus is the answer for him. Let's get him to Jesus. Why is it that we would take? Why is it that you would take and you would give towards a ministry like this? Why is it that you would take and you would possibly go on a mission trip? Why would you do that? Because Jesus is the answer. You've experienced that. You've found out that, man, Jesus truly is the answer. We must always remember that we're not trying to make followers of us. I know Paul, he said this right. He said, be ye followers of me. Why? Because I'm a follower of Christ. The goal is not to create followers of ourselves, but the goal is to create followers of Jesus Christ. We're always pointing everybody to Jesus. And I do love, I'll tell you, I love going down there to Haiti. And whenever you pull up and you're in the pickup truck or you're in the van there, whichever one you get to ride in, and you're pulling up there and here they are. They're like, Miss Lisa's like, pickup truck? What am I going to do? You know, in the back of it, on top of the luggage, yes, and that is for some, but we'll make sure, you know, maybe. And but here it is. I love pulling up there, and all the kids start running out. Marvin! So there's actually a little guy down there named Marvin, and it's kind of, I got a picture of him on my wife's phone there. A picture. It's me, my son Marvin, and Marvin down there, and we're all together. And we've always wanted to bring him and another boy back with us, but haven't been able to do it. But here's the thing, okay? Jesus is the answer. Jesus is the hope for all mankind. So whose job, whose responsibility is it? It's my job. It's my calling to get those 400,000 kids to Jesus. I might not be able to reach all 400,000. But boy, I sure would like to be able to touch 100 of them, 200 of them, 300 of them, be able to get them into our orphanage, be able to see them come to Jesus Christ, be able to see them born again, be able to see them grow up and become pastors in the area. The pastor that works with them, he has a Bible college there, and he takes them as soon as they get out of the orphanage, he puts them right into his Bible college, trying to get them to go out and preach the gospel. And when they're called to preach, and he's got I think it's 41 pastors that have gone out of his ministry now preaching the gospel, and they're doing a phenomenal work there. But these kids, they're getting ready to start coming up. They're going to start going out. And it's them realizing, this pastor down there realizing, us realizing that, hey, Jesus is the only answer. They could have said this right here, he's too heavy. You know, we're not going to get him to Jesus. There's no way possible that we can get him to Jesus. They could have said the crowd's too big. They could have said we've lost all our opportunities. They could have gone home discouraged, missed out on a miracle, but instead they refused to quit. They refuse to give up. And listen, we've got to realize so many times we have people that they're trying to find excuses for why they can't get their friend to Jesus, rather than finding reasons why they should get their friend to Jesus. And Jesus is the answer. We've got to keep that in our mind. The determination of these four men brought what? Brought victory for their friend. What was the goal? The goal was for their friend to be healed. And did they get that? Because why? Because they were determined to get their friend to Jesus. Here's the last one, number 4. It's a matter of having our priorities straight. Our priorities straight. These 4 guys, the most important thing to them was getting their friend to Jesus. That was the most important thing to you, to these guys. Now, here's the question: is what's the most important thing to us tonight? What is the most important thing for us tonight? For me, okay, most important thing is my family, right? I'm going to take care of my family. Family's not coming up short. But I'm going to tell you what I'm going to do is I'm going to take and make sure that I do whatever I can to get these 42 kids that I have down there in Haiti, to get the churches that we've helped in Africa. There was 20, for 3 years we supported 23 national pastors in Africa there. We raised them up so that they could take and be self-supporting and be able to go off on their own then, and that was the goal for those 3 years there. And the priorities. What was these guys' priority? We got to get our friend to Jesus. We got to do whatever it's going to take to get our friend to Jesus. So they could have thought this right here. Is it going to disturb the service? Yeah. Is it going to be kind of weird? Could we be rejected for this? Yeah, maybe a little bit. But they said, that's not what matters. Hey, we've never seen it done like this before. You know, had a friend tell me, I don't know if I 100% agree with it, but he told me this. He said, Marvin, I'm willing to do anything but sin to bring someone to Jesus Christ. And I thought, man, that's what these guys were willing to do. They were willing to do anything to get their friend to Jesus Christ. They didn't care what the cost was. They didn't care what the energy was. They didn't care what the rejection from everyone, because they knew that the priority, the most important thing was get their friend to Jesus. Did they think about this? Who's going to pay for the repairs? Someone had to, right? They didn't worry about that. What they were, they had their priorities in order. They understood this is what's most important. Their job was greater than the criticism would be and greater than the threat of being different. They didn't worry about the criticism. A lot of times we think, what's everyone going to think about us? What are they going to say about us? Boy, we're going to be really different. And that's okay. And these guys, they were willing to take, and these kind of peoples were the pace setters. These were the ones that showed everybody else that, hey, there's a different way to bring people to Jesus. And these guys did that right here. I thank the Lord that these people were willing to go ahead and knock the hole in the roof. Because here's what they've done for us. They've modeled the way for us. They've said, hey, you know what? Don't go knocking holes in the roofs, okay? But they modeled the way for us to take and say this right here. I'm going to go out of the box. I'm going to think way outside the box on how I can bring people to Jesus. I'm going to think way outside the normal of how I can bring people to our Savior, the only hope for the nation. These guys right here, they were the barrier breakers. They were the ones that said, nothing is going to keep us from getting our friend to Jesus. Because why? Because first of all, they were unselfish. They said, we're more concerned about our friend getting to Jesus than we are about us taking and getting to the feet of Jesus. They were, these guys here, they had the spirit of cooperation. They understood that, hey, listen, we can't do it without each other. And the third one there was they had a firm belief that Jesus Christ is the only answer. And the last one here is they had their priorities straight. The most important thing about these kinds of people is that these are the ones that bring other people to Jesus. These are the kind of guys that bring other people to Jesus. These are the kind of guys that say, you know what? All right, it's out of my comfort zone to do something, but I'm going to go ahead and do it. I'm going to go ahead and put myself out there a little bit. I'm going to be a little weird right now so that I can take and win. I've been trying to win my neighbor to Christ. Her name's Janet. I've lived there for 10 years now. Really want to see her come to Christ. Catholic lady, told you about her son this morning. Brandon, that I really want to see Janet come to Christ. Our other neighbor is Kay, and she goes down south for the winters, and I understand why, but she just want to see that my two neighbors come to Christ. Willing to do anything. Because I know this, that right now, I know this, that if my neighbor Janet was to die today, I know that she would spend eternity in hell. It's my job to bring my neighbor to Christ. Done everything I can. I went out the other day. It was a hot day, and she's like, I bought a new shed. I need somebody to put it up for me. I need it up today. Today, yeah. It's 98 degrees and 100% humidity. It has to be today, doesn't it? Called one of my teenage guys. He came over and put it up with us. Why? Is I want to demonstrate the love of Christ to her. The sacrifice that Christ did for us, I'm willing to give for her. Been mowing her yard now since her son went off to the military. Mow her yard for her every time it needs to be mowed. To do mine every week and do hers every other week. Because why? I want to show her that we love her. So that in that right moment, I can take and go, hey, Janet, can I ask you a question? if you were to die today, are you 100% sure that you'd go to heaven? For even when her son lived at home, I'd mow shovel their sidewalk for them and their front walkway for them. And why? Because it was so nice outside and just loved to be out there. No, because I've got to demonstrate love to her. Because it's the love of Christ that constrains people to Him. And so we learn this right here, looking at these guys, that when we start to understand that Jesus Christ is the answer for this world, He's the hope of the nations, we will do anything to bring one person. They did anything. One person. Okay, if they had 10 guys they were trying to get there, it'd been a little. We got 10 guys we're bringing down right now. Okay, it's worth it. But one person, it was worth it to them, because they understood that Jesus is the hope of the nations. And I hope that as a church, I know you do, that you'll take and you'll get on board and go, you know what, Pastor? We're going to cooperate. We're going to stay on board. We're going to keep on going with you forward here. When you're tired, we're going to hold you up. We're going to lift your hands up, Pastor. We're going to be there for you, Pastor. Because He's human just like us. I like to say that because my dad's been doing this for 26 years now, 25, 26 years. My dad gets tired sometimes. He won't tell the people. I've been trying to get my dad to take a 2-week, 3-week vacation. He won't do it. All paid for and everything. No, I ain't doing it. They get tired sometimes. But when we cooperate, just like you come together, imagine having to set up all these chairs by yourself. It's a task. But when you cooperate, you come together, you work together. When we cooperate together as churches, people, individuals, we take, and can I tell you something? I know this to be a fact, that when the churches that God has planted around the world come together, we can reach the world. Because why? Because He said, go ye into all the world and preach the gospel to every creature. And when we come together, we can reach the world together. That's when I'm going to live a little selfish today. Like I told my story of being selfish in Sunday school this morning. I'm going to keep my money for me and keep it in my pocket instead of giving it to the homeless man there on the side of the road. Come together. Work together. God has a big plan for your church. God has a big community for you to reach. And I'm excited about it. Let's pray together. Dear God, I thank You